Hey everyone, it's Dr. Hillary from Rangeline Chiropractic. I'm here with my friend Nicole Cowley. She is going to talk to us about clean beauty products, like what it means to use clean products, right? What products are there to use clean, and kind of like why we should think about that. She's been a great inspiration to me and very helpful to me on my journey too. So, Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to do this. This is fun. Um, so I'm a minimalist, which is shocking, I think, to a lot of people. But products are never something like I love makeup, but I never ever was into like having my makeup counter stacked. Like, you know what I mean? I would go to my friends' house and they just would have thousands of products. And that was never me. I just would grab face wash, moisturizer, and go. Well, when I got into my 30s and I was diagnosed with lupus, which is a whole nother conversation that we could also be having as I'm delving into autoimmune and curing all the things that go along with it. Gabby's
Okay.
joining us. She's going to knock it all over.
Yes.
Um, I started to have a lot of skin issues. And, that is such a thing that we don't start thinking about things until something goes wrong. Right. And so it was at that point, like I knew my aunt's a chiropractor and she sells 100% pure in her office, which is all organic makeup and skincare. And I've tried and I've used the products, but I've known. So it wasn't like I didn't know. It was like I knew. And then I started having, which I still have a little bit of it right now. I don't know if you could see it, but it is, you can't even really, it's kind of going away. You kind of see just the little vaguely red. Well, that was like splotches all over me, all over my chest, all over my arms. And there's nothing like that to wake you up and go, okay, I need to make a change, right? I need to do something different. And so I started researching. I went to Google. That's where I went, Google, and started searching and figuring out what's going on. And one of the things that, again, I knew, but never thought about was our skin is our largest organ, our largest organ and where we are. Like we think about what we put into our body. We think about what we eat and clean eating and like we're eating the Doritos and we know the Doritos aren't good for us, right?
What?
But
When
we
did that
don't,
happen?
wait, the organic Doritos,
Oh yeah. Oh good. I'm switched.
the gluten-free ones. Um, but I never really thought necessarily like my lotion was causing any harm. And in fact, I would choose greener products, cleaner products. I would go and I would choose the green label or the natural label or the one that said, hemp's lotion, loved the hemp's lotion products. And so for the most part, I thought like I'm making better choices. Again, what many of us think when we're going through the same nutritional route, right? We learn that we don't know what we don't know. And so as I started kind of in this healing journey of my own skincare, because people were like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? Like it looked so bad. Um, I started to just open up, Pandora's box of understanding how many chemicals, how many toxins are in our products. And then even though I was a minimalist, as I would consider myself, like how many products we're using from shampoo, conditioner, hair products. Then you have your skincare, your makeup, your lotions, your perfumes, your sprays, your, shower gel, shave creams, bath wash. I mean, you name it. So,
Sunscreen.
right.
Cream
Sunscreen.
all the time.
And that's a good point, like sunscreen. So these products, lotion and sunscreen and your fragrances, they have things in them, number one, that are meant to preserve them. I mean, how long? Like I keep lotion bottles for years, used to, like for years. So they're meant to preserve them, to extend their life, but then they're also meant to make them absorb. So they have properties in them to make these ingredients extra absorption, into our skin.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to learn. So here, I'm actually going to see, I'm going to share my screen so I can show you this. Oops, I have to select it. There we go. Does that work? Are you able to see this?
No.
Okay. It's okay that it
Hey, let
doesn't.
me see if I can move it. There we go.
Ah, yay. Okay. So I created this. So that's me. BCounter, which is their new kind of slogan, which is kind of like be counterintuitive, right? Like they say, ask questions, stand out, be a leader. So that's kind of their slogan right now. Their campaign is be counter. But I saw all kinds of things like this. Okay. Right. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a chiropractor. And science was honestly my worst subject. Like I can't even say half these names,
Right.
let alone to remember them, to know, to check for them in the ingredients, right, of the products that I'm buying. And the other side of it was well, at the time I had one son. He was a toddler at the time, but now I have a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old. Like I don't have time to sit and stare at the ingredients. Like it's grab products and go when we're shopping, you know? So I needed something. I started searching for something that was going to be easy. I did not want to order from 15 different companies or 10 different products or something that was going to, which you never know with any company, but ideally something that was going to then be gone. Because I'd gotten to that in the past where I would get something that I really liked and then it would go out of business or out of stock or what have you, you know? So there were a lot of things that I was looking at, but really, I just wanted to trust the company. I didn't want to have to read the ingredients on every single product, but I wanted it to work. Like, you know, we're women, even though I say I'm a minimalist, like I like my makeup, you know, and like the organic stuff I had tried that I mentioned earlier, which is there's no company shaming whatsoever here, but it just, you know, it was like fruit pigmented and it just didn't work that well. um, and so I don't know, I did some Google searching in different options. I thought, well, you get what you pay for, right? We know that. We know each other through a group called BDC. And that's just like a core principle to understand, I think, is that, you know, if I'm going to buy $1 face wash, it's going to give me $1 face wash results, right?
True.
And BeautyCounter asked this question, you know, we should be asking not why our products are so expensive, but why are our products so cheap? Like, how are they making this for $1? What are they putting into it? And what are their standards across the board to be able to produce eyeliner for $1 and sell it to you? And I came across, so let's see, now that my screen shared, I think it'll share this. It's a very short video and it really goes into like explaining where we're at in the United States with the beauty care industry, some of the numbers and some of the challenges. Can you hear the music?
No, but we can put the link on underneath this after our chat too. That
Okay,
way people can watch, you know.
perfect, perfect. And so I think like when I started to open up beauty counters, not only their products, but also their mission and their commitments, I just dove in. I was like, okay, so they're committed to banning 1,800 ingredients. And then they're committed to all these other, like, they have a big mission to get safer beauty care products and skincare and personal care products into the hands of everyone. It's not just a product company. And they were doing a lot of advocating at Washington, D.C. They're really trying to change the laws. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm sold. I'm going to go all in.
Mhm.
And so I actually decided, and this is the hard part when you start to want to choose cleaner beauty, is like, where do you start? Because, you know, I mean, it's not cheap, right? And do I just change all my products and throw everything in the garbage? Like, what do you do? And so one of the things that I looked at was, again, our skin as our largest organ. So I really looked at what are the products that I'm using like the most of. And I was having a lot of issues, you know, on my chest, on my arms, on my neck. Thankfully, not my face, but it was my neck down. And so I went with lotion, body wash. I went with all body first because, like, you know, my body needs help before, you know, my face and skin do right now. And no joke at all. 4 weeks, my skin is completely cleared up. I was shocked. So what I learned like 2 years later, I learned from a beauty counter consultant shared that our charcoal bar, and that's what I used. I chose the charcoal bar for my body wash, got rid of my body wash, changed my shampoo conditioner. So I got rid of all my toxic ingredients and then I introduced clean ingredients, one of them being a charcoal bar. So part of it was the removal. It was just getting rid of all of those. Fragrance is horrible if you see fragrance or anything, but getting rid of all of those ingredients, but then replacing it. We have to have something clean to replace it with. And what I realized is before I wasn't replacing with clean stuff. So anyways, the charcoal bar has actually antifungal properties in it, like tea tree oil, and one other ingredient I can't think of here on the spot. I would have to look up, but I was using that charcoal bar. So it was actually coming in and literally treating my skin with those natural antifungal ingredients and properties built within that charcoal bar. And so I really did clean everything up. I didn't know it at the time. All I thought is, okay, sold, right? Like I'm done, sold. If you can do that, then imagine what you can do. I mean, in my early 30s, I knew that skincare needed to be a little more than just moisturizer. Things were going to start to go down south quickly. And so after my body, though, I started to switch again. Then I looked at my skincare because, again, makeup sits on top of, we're putting that moisturizer and we're putting ideally sunscreen on our face. So we have 2 layers of protection on our face before we are caking our makeup on, right? So I started with the skincare. Love the skincare. Again, was seeing amazing results, was getting just feedback out in public from my mother-in-law, even my husband, just saying, you look really, really good lately. And I don't wear makeup at home. So it was a huge compliment to come from something that, he doesn't comment on. And so then I'm like, okay, well, let's try the makeup. And like I said, I'm a little bit of, I don't call myself a makeup junkie, but I do like my makeup. I use very cheap makeup. It would stick to your face. It was like literally faking it on.
Was it blue? Did you have the blue eyeshadow?
Oh, yes, I have blue eyeshadow. Love my blue eyeshadow. Now I have some BCounter blue eyeshadow. Now that yeah, but it was a mess. I mean, it was like bronzer, like 3 skin cones, darker than the rest of my skin, which maybe a little now, hopefully not. I contoured today. But I thought like skincare needs to be first, and then I did the makeup afterwards. But that was the thing as I started to look into the makeup, and you think about your lipstick and your lip glosses, like not only do we put that on, but we actually consume that. And your eyeshadows, that's kind of stuff like they're talking right now with coronavirus, right? There was the big joke of we should be wearing goggles too because it can enter our eyes. Well, that's not really a joke because things can enter our system through any, again, I'm not a doctor, you can confirm this, but through any hole, crack, or crevice, including, soaking directly into our skin. And so that's where then I just cleaned it all. So it was step by step and it was gradual. So I definitely recommend as you're starting to clean up your skincare routine, like really think about what product do I use the most, and or when we really look into and look at and think about the products we use, we know some of like, this isn't good for us, right? Like old days, we're spraying the Aquanet. Like this is not good for us, not good for the environment. So I always think to start small, just make small changes. Don't think you need to go throw everything in the garbage and change everything tomorrow. But then it's across the board. It was really cool is after I started to change, these things, I started to look at now my cleaning products and now my cooking products, and nutrition's always been a here and there, but I've always considered what I'm putting in. And so I think that's first. We just really have to start considering, what are we breathing, what are we putting on our skin, like what are we introducing to our lives. There's a lot of numbers, and I won't go through all this, but the big thing to really look into is that we haven't passed any laws since 1938 in our country to regulate this industry.
Wow.
And I'm not a big proponent for like everything needs to have a law and everything needs banned, but there really should be like, we have the FDA, like what is their purpose? And that's the thing, you look at some of these products and there's stories out there. There's a hair care company, and people were literally losing their hair. There were major complaints online. The FDA, our government, had no jurisdiction to go in and pull that product from the shelves, even though it was causing health harm. There were reports, there were multiple out there. And so that's what's really interesting when you start to dive in and go through the rabbit hole of some of this is there's very little regulation within it. And, that creates just, when you look at the money of anything, right, that creates a lot of, not good opportunities for us. So one being in the United States, we have 30 harmful chemicals that are banned or restricted compared to Canada, which is 600 north of us. But compared to the European Union, which is 1,300, BeautyCounter is now at 1,800 banned ingredients. And so as a company, we're just determining to take those extra steps, to make cleaner beauty products so you have something to choose. Because that's where I was at. I was like, I just don't know what to choose. I have no idea what's high quality, high performing, cleaner, safer, and I'm going to like and use, that's going to work. I'm going to be able to go to work and go out in public and, still feel good about myself. The one other that I wanted to show you here, which is also what's on back here. This is another thing I show a lot. So the Red Cross did a study and they found more than 200 industrial chemicals in the cord blood of newborn babies. So that's, a number of different reasons. That's not just obviously skincare and personal care products, but I think about if there's 200 toxins found in cord blood, think of how many we have been exposed to incrementally year after year after year, and then what that can potentially do, the harmful effects that can have. And so a lot of the research that's out there, EWG is a great app to get, environmental working group. They're doing a lot of the studies and just pushing a lot of this, doing a lot of the transparency. But a lot of these ingredients that they're utilizing in the products, like I'm sure you've heard of them, parabens, flatlets, sulfates. When you look at fragrance, the problem with fragrance is anything can be in fragrance because it's patented, right? They don't want to tell their secrets. And so they don't have to tell their secrets. So they also inside of them, but they're known hormone disruptors. They're known to cause fertility issues. They're known to lead to things like cancer, which again, I'll lead back into, we're looking at the pandemic we're in right now, which is a huge tragedy. But, I've been diving into numbers and I was looking at the 2018 CDC death stats. And in our country, we hover 250,000 to 300,000 deaths a month.
Wow.
And it's like, that's insane. And then you break it down and you look at them and they're like, many of them are preventable and or cancer. Just, we've seen it escalate. Autoimmune issues, we've seen escalate, but, heart disease, those things that we've been fighting forever, but then some new ones like cancer that are just skyrocketing, right up there with them. And we know so many things in our environment and our food and our skincare is leading to that. But yet, it's just interesting to see us not do anything about it. Like 30 ingredients banned compared to the EU's 1,300. Like, that's crazy.
I know. That is.
So I did want to show this. This is a slide I wanted to share. If you want to take a screenshot, you can. But this is one way to help the mission, the cause. No dollars. You don't have to do anything except for text Better Beauty to 52886, and you can advocate with your voice. But there's a lot of information. Like I said, we can share links and show all that good stuff. But really, to me, BeautyCounter was, I can choose one company and be confident and comfortable. And I've been choosing them for 3 years and they just keep wowing me. I want to highlight into this because it's more than just the ingredients. This is something that's really interesting, is it's not just the ingredients, but it's responsibly sourced raw ingredients. It's transparency in the products that you're using. It's actual safety screenings, right? So there's not a lot of screenings and testing that is required for products before they even reach our fingertips or the shelves, that we're purchasing from. Sustainable packaging, which is huge. And, being environmentally sound. So we're a B company, as well as we have a Leaping Bunny certification. So a B corporation, and a Leaping Bunny certification. So they really are always going that extra step to ensure that they are doing everything that they can to bring the safest products. And so that's something where, like I said, as I used the product, saw what I saw, and then dove in and realized how, little bit scary the industry is. quality assurance, they check for trace contaminants, they check for heavy metals, and they do double checks for heavy metals. So there's multiple testing on all of our products throughout the supply chain. But on those trace contaminants for heavy metals, our standards are low. So there can be little to no traceability of heavy metals within any of our raw ingredients throughout the selection process in order for them to get into that final product. So there's a lot to look at. And I sit where I'm like, I don't want to know all this necessarily. And I still kind of don't, but I do find it really interesting. But the science side of it, I don't always understand. But that's where, when I was like, if I can choose a company that I can trust to make those decisions soundly, that's what I was ultimately looking for, because I didn't always want to have to check ingredients and cross check everything. Like I said, they just keep coming out with more and more just incredible campaigns and things that they're doing to advocate beyond just being a product company. The last one I'll show here is the truth about Mica. Hillary, do you know what Mica is?
It's a crystal, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's the shimmer in our product, right? It makes the blue sparkly eyeshadow. That's how we get that.
Sparkle.
Yeah. So Mica is like, yeah, exactly. It's a little, I don't know a gem, I guess it is. I don't know. I have to look that up. Anyways, but it's mined. So Mica is mined across the world. And as they're going through and they're doing their research and they're trying to be very transparent, you can uncover scary things. And they do this whole Mica campaign that I was in tears. I was shaking because it was just beautiful what they did. But basically what they uncovered through a lot of their supply chain resources and whatnot is that Mica is being sourced very unethically across the world. And you can actually go to BeautyCounter.com and you can look up Mica. This video is the one I'm talking about. So it's many times children as young as 3 years old going in the middle of the nights, going into these deep mining caves and mining, which is very, very dangerous as well. It's not easy. It's very hard labor. It's very dangerous work. In the middle of the night, going into these caves to pull out these little pieces of, rock, metal, fossil. I don't know what you consider that. I'm sorry. Again, not science. But and that's being sold. They're mining it to be sold to go into so many products, but many of them beauty products, into our bronzers, our highlighters, our eyeshadows, all that shimmer that we love. And so they do a lot within this Mica campaign. So first it was just going over there and determining what it was all about. So these are some of all the stuff you can find Mica in. But I really, really, really went hard into the advocacy of BeautyCounter when I saw this, because this has nothing to do with our health, right? They didn't have to do this. They didn't have to bring this to light. This has nothing, like Mica is an organic ingredient, right? So Mica is good for us. Mica is not a problem for us, but it's the way that that ingredient is sourced. And it's, do we step in and do something, or do we turn our heads away and not think about it? And so they did did a big campaign and then invested a lot of money into they partnered with this guy, which I cannot say his name, Kailash Satyarthi, but he won the Nobel Peace Prize the same year that Mahala did, if anybody knows who that is. Same year she did. But he won the Nobel Peace Prize for trying to make the legalization of Mica so it is a more regulated industry. Because here's the other thing is, we didn't want to completely take business away, because that's also how these families and how these countries are feeding themselves, right? That's how they literally live. And you hear these 3 and 4-year-old girls talking about, like, I have to go to work because that's how my family survives and lives. And so it's trying to create a legalization, a regulation, jobs for the parents, and take it away from the unethical practices of where it's at now. They also invested in Source Map, which is a technology to help map the supply chain. So that's the other thing. Once you get out, into the world, things get very, very messy, right? And certain things are and aren't what they are. And that's where they were looking at certain supply chain certificates. And then they would go back to validate those certificates and they couldn't ever find the core source of where that mica was coming from. So it's really interesting when you open it all up. And then they are partnering with more domestic suppliers. So the goal here isn't to take all of it away from those global, because again, you know, we want to help those markets thrive. We're not trying to ruin that by any means, but also looking at domestic so we can continue to create our products safer, cleaner, and ethical practices across the board, because where you source it matters. Absolutely. So this is just a beautiful campaign and really digs into their commitment beyond just selling products into the actual mission of creating a seriously cleaner, beauty industry across the board.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. You shared so much. I think a lot of that most of us don't know about. So we'll make sure that we post some links under this later. That way people could find out some more information. And especially that video, since we couldn't get the audio to come through, we can post that on our Facebook group, Wellness with Dr. Hillary. I love that you came on and told us all this. Thanks, Nicole. And I love my products.
Yay, I'm so excited. Thanks for having me. And definitely, comment, reach out to me if anybody has any questions, wants to try anything. I'm an open book. I'll answer anything. And then everything's 60-day money back guarantee too. So if you want to try anything, it's really no risk.
I love it. Thanks so much, Nicole.
Thank you. Bye.